Race highlights Sunday at 8 on WRTV 6.
On the Way to Winning is brought to you in part by Indiana Dodge Dealers, by Osco Drugstores, and by Hardee's.
And good evening, everybody. It's the eve of the 75th running of the Indianapolis 500. This show for the next hour on the way to winning. Welcome to the Gallus Craco Garage. Bobby Rahal, our driver expert, joining me here tonight. And Bobby, I tell you something, this has been one of the great months, I think, in the history of this place in terms of the landmark events.
Absolutely. And obviously the overriding one, A.J. Foyt, his 34th and last year. Supposedly last, you know,
Sure.
Who knows really, but only A.J. knows that for sure, I guess. The fact that there are so many brother combinations, more so, I guess, than ever before. Now, 4 Andretti's, of course, that's cousins, cousins, son's father. First Japanese driver. First black driver, Willie T.
Yeah. What does it mean? You know, kind of lost in the shuffle on all this, A.J. and Willie T. and all that has been Rick Mears. Even though he didn't have the fastest qualifying speed, he had his 6th pole. Right. He was the fastest guy on the first day. What kind of record, historically, do you think that is? I mean, that's incredible, 6 poles.
Well, it is. You know, they've always seemed to have a very good ability or a knack to do that. Their races may not have been as good as their qualifying. But, you know, 6 poles is pretty, that's pretty amazing, and it's going to be more. Now, whether it's, you know, whether he can do it 2 in a row or 3 in a row or what have you, that's only time will tell. But, I mean, Rick's not about to retire as far as I can see, so...
He may set a record that will never be approached.
I would think that's probably a pretty good bet.
You know, I really think, too, that one thing we've talked a lot about over the course of the month is that no one team, no one driver has really come out and dominated, posted the hot laps. Someo's been consistent. You have, Ari has, but nobody has really been off the chart speed-wise, which would seem to indicate to me that maybe there's becoming more of a parity in IndyCar racing, at least here.
Oh, I think so. Well, there's parity everywhere. You know, it used to be difficult. It's always been difficult to win. It used to be relatively easy to finish 6th. Now it is so difficult to finish 6th. It's almost, I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, we had a hard-fought race at Phoenix. Michael Andretti was 4th, and if you ask Michael, I bet you he's driven harder to win some races than he drove 4th in that race. So it's just like all sports. You know, as the teams have become more professional, the parity is there and the competitiveness is there.
Kevin Madden reports for us tonight on this incredible competitiveness among so many different teams trying to win the Indianapolis 500 this year.
There's more Chevrolet teams or Buick teams now have a car that's suited to their engine. So they're more competitive, and pretty much everybody has the same equipment. You know, it's just coming down to the teams and the drivers. So, you know, the field's pretty tight then, and I hope that I have the best team and we have the best day going on Sunday.
You know, the field is kind of mixed with some of the second-day qualifiers who are in the middle of it. I think it's probably as competitive a field as we've ever had here. And I think, you know, the Buicks, they have shown that in certain instances they're pretty reliable. You know, the Chevys, they're having some problems. So I think it's a real mixed bunch. And out of that, you usually have a very competitive race. And, you know, right now, if somebody was to ask me who I'd pick, I don't know. It's the situation's changed a lot here, and I think you're going to see a race that maybe a surprise might win this.
Everybody seems to be getting the most out of their automobile, and I think it's mainly because of the quality of the teams have increased, and there hasn't been a great advantage that someone else has had over another team. The majority of the people are driving Lolas. Because of the quality of the teams, they've been getting their cars working really well.
Well, compared to when the last time I was here, I think there's probably twice as many really competitive cars at the front of this group. I think the level of competition is much tougher than it was when I was here in early 80s.
I don't know. I think last year was probably better. I think perhaps we have so many cars in the back of the field that really, when I say the back of the field, they're faster than some of the cars in the front of the field, but perhaps the crews and equipment are not what I think should be to meet the standards for the biggest race in the world, and I think that that's going to cause some problems.
So far this year, we've had, 3 races, and we've had 3 different winners. Hopefully there'll be a fourth different winner here at the Speedway, and I think that's what makes it go. Any given weekend, there's 10 or 12 guys out there that can win. Part of that also is to do with the availability of the Chevrolet engine and the Lola chassis, and the teams have just gotten better and better with those, and I think all of that added up is what makes it such good racing.
Folks, don't go away. When we come back on the Way to Winning, the story of 1, 2, 3, 4. Count them, 4 Andretti's. The starting field of 33. Be right back.
Traffic's been crazy around here. Something about chicken.
It's great.
Tasty, juicy, delicious.
Hardee's Fried Chicken. Taste preferred 63 to 37 over Kentucky Fried Chicken original recipe.
Sorry about that. It's the truth. I don't like Kentucky. I don't ever buy Kentucky.
Hardee's Chicken is ripping.
It's the best chicken I have ever eaten.
This is the place to stop, Hardee's. Now get 8 pieces of chicken, 4 made from scratch biscuits, coleslaw, and mashed potatoes with gravy for just $6.99.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I've been known to run with a pretty fast crowd. This year, I'll be driving the Dodge Viper pace car at the 75th running at Indy. So my pals at Shadeland, Palmer, Palmer West, and Hubler Dodge are having a big pace car celebration. They've got high-performance deals on everything from this Dodge Stealth, the official car at Indy this year, to the family vehicles like Caravan, Spirit, and Shadow, even hard-working Dodge trucks. So race on in today, where it's advantage, Dodge.
If you're taking more than one prescription drug or seeing more than one doctor, questions can pop up. Your Osco pharmacist will check for drug interactions and potential allergy problems automatically, every time.
At Osco, you can count on people who care.
The thirst for adventure is Michelob Dry. Refreshing beyond the ordinary. And once you've experienced the bold taste with no aftertaste, there is no going back.
Everybody to On the Way to Winning. One of the many interesting stories this month has been the emergence of a fourth Andretti, Jeff, who made the field for the first time. He's one of the 5 rookies in the race this year, and he joins John, Mario, and Michael. 4 Andretti's in the 33-car grid, which is just amazing.
I don't think there's any left.
Well, the running joke, of course, in Gasoline Alley has been by, like the year 2020, they'll be able to fill the entire field.
I think maybe even Mario will be retired by then. I don't know. That's what, a good 25 years from now, but you never know.
And they're all remarkably competitive. And tonight, Tom Carnegie takes a look at the 4 Andretti's in the field of 33.
What? 4 Andretti's in the 500? When in the 75 years at Indy, there's never been a single driver named Smith? Incredible. Here they are. Father, Mario, 51 years of age. Son, Michael, age 28. Son, Jeff, age 27. Cousin, John, son of Mario's twin brother, Aldo, 28. They could finish 1, 2, 3, 4. All of the finest equipment. For Mario, this is race number 26. 1 victory. That in 1969. He's the fastest Andretti, starting outside front row. But this world champion has been plagued by bad luck here. Last year, engine failure at 60 laps. A string of misfortune. Broken header, engine seized, accidents, ignition, burned piston, lost wheel, out of fuel. Whatever could happen has happened. Yet Mario's intensity is as strong as ever. Reality requires he be listed as a favorite to win. The Andretti's all face the same dangers. Mario is philosophical about that threat.
We're all concerned with safety in our own way, and we all have to deal with it. I think we're all responsible. And from my standpoint, obviously, I'll always be concerned about my kids out there, but that goes with the territory. Unfortunately, there's a price to pay somewhere, and I just hope that we can deal with it properly. And, I've been dealing with it all my life, and, now it's their life as well.
This is Michael's 8th start at Indy. In 5 of his first 6 starts here, he was running at the finish. He led the Classic 45 laps. But 3 years ago, he teamed with his dad, and bad luck struck. Engine failure and vibration have halted his last 2 challenges. Mario and Michael are driving identical Kmart Haviland Lolas. Again, Michael must be considered one of the favorites. Son Jeff is a rookie, taught by Mario, skills honed in the Andretti tradition. He's been learning his trade for 7 years. Super V's, Formula Atlantic, ARS Series. Just 1 start in a Champ Car race last year at Milwaukee. Jeff is a long shot. Cousin John, he's already won this year in Australia. He's won over $1 million in purses. Honed his skills in the midgets and the sprint cars. This is his 4th start here. He is with the super team. Co-owner Jim Hall. John's chances Sunday equal to any in the field. His sense of humor always on display.
You know, the more the merrier, but, you know, like Dr. Bach told me when I was getting my physical, there's so many Andrettis you got to spray for them. But, you know, I figure in another 100 years or so, we might be able to get half the field fill anyway.
Yes, there could, and probably will be, Andretti's racing at Indy forever and winning. Tom Carnegie for On the Way to Winning.
Well, that's a look at the Andrettis, and in maintaining this family theme, time now to talk about the Bettenhausen family. A remarkable, remarkable family. Their courage is just unquestioned, and to me, the one guy in the family who sticks out even more than the rest is Gary B., and what a fabulous story he's been this month in his 19th year here at the Speedway.
That's right. In fact, this is probably his best year since 1972, when he led so much of that race. And of course, as I said in one of our earlier broadcasts, how ironic, you know, then he was with Roger Penske. Here, he upstaged Roger Penske.
More right now on a remarkably courageous driver, Gary Bettenhausen.
In this, his 19th year at the Speedway, 49-year-old Gary Bettenhausen finally has a month of May to remember.
Well, I don't think I've ever had this much fun at Indianapolis before, because when I drove for Roger, it was very, very businesslike. And I mean, I know I came in 5 minutes late one day, and Mark Donahue was just pulling away in my car. Well, that was the last time I was ever late showing up at the racetrack when I drove for Roger Penske.
Those were bittersweet times, to say the least. Gary had a coveted spot in the Penske stable for 3 years. It may have been a longer relationship had Gary not gone against Penske's wishes and continued to run the rough and tumble sprint and dirt cars on the side. In 1974, Gary was seriously injured at a dirt track in Syracuse. That's when Penske pulled the plug.
It was my own fault. I wouldn't listen to Roger, and without a doubt, I probably could have won the race several times here if I was still driving for Roger Penske. And I made my choice, and I don't look back. I don't regret it, because at the same time, a lot of my success, or the majority of my success as a race driver, has come from driving sprint cars and dirt cars.
Ironically, it would take another serious injury in a dirt car and the death of a dear friend before Gary B. finally heeded Roger Penske's decade-old advice.
After I got hurt last June at Sacramento, my wife and my mother and my kids were really trying to get me to quit driving sprinters and dirt cars, and I had kind of made up my mind that I would, but yet it got close to the time of going to the Copper World in Phoenix in February, and I started thinking about taking my sprinter out there and running again. And then in November, young Billy Vukovic was killed, and that did it for me.
And that has brought the Gary Bettenhausen story full circle. This month, Gary was totally focused on driving an Indy car, and the results are plain to see. His 4-lap qualification is the best of the month, better than pole sitter Rick Mears. And we all know who Rick drives for.
There's nobody I would rather be able to run faster here than Roger Penske and Rick Mears, because without a doubt, in my book, they're the best. And it's just a feeling of a great accomplishment to be able to go out there and run as fast or better than what they did.
That satisfaction could quickly turn into disappointment. For Gary B., his race day expectations are high.
What would be disappointing?
Yeah.
Second would be disappointing. It really would at this point. I know I sound like I'm getting greedy, but I don't think I'll get too many of these opportunities.
For On the Way to Winning, I'm Kevin Madden.
Thank you, Kevin. When we come back on the Way to Winning, a look at the 5 rookies in this year's Indy 500 field. Don't go away.
The RCA Home Theater has a VHP picture tube which makes it seem like you're really there. And you can connect your Laserdisc, stereo, VCR, or camcorder to it without being a rocket scientist. And with the RCA Home Theater, you can get rid of your other remotes, too, because it comes with Master Touch, the universal remote. Another way RCA is changing entertainment again.
99.5 WCPL's Dave McKay.
Do you have a radio? Do you have a birthday? Oh! You could win up to $1,000.
99.5 WCPL free money birthdays.
Listen Monday morning at 7:10. I'll announce the birthday in this envelope. If it matches your birthday, then you could win up to $1,000.
Listen Monday morning at 7:10. WCPL free money birthdays.
When it comes to your family's comfort, don't settle for second best. Demand Lennox equipment and Brian Allen Heating and Air Conditioning for sales, service, and installation. And for those Indiana summers, nothing cools like a Lennox air conditioner installed by Brian Allen. It's sure to keep you comfortable and your cooling bills low. So call Quiet Ralph today at Brian Allen Heating and Air Conditioning. He's been serving central Indiana for over a quarter of a century. Brian Allen and Lennox.
At Brian Allen, we've proven quality works.
20 years ago, they said Southwest Airlines would never go far. In a way, they were right, because we do specialize in short trips. Maybe that's why we've grown to be one of the nation's largest and most profitable airlines. And frankly, we've had a whale of a lot of fun along the way. On this Southwest Airlines 20th anniversary, we pause to thank our customers, our employees, and our friends for your patronage and your support. We owe it all to you.
And welcome back, everybody. Bobby, take us back real briefly to your rookie year here. What did it feel like?
Nerve-wracking, I guess, would be the best word. Just a very intimidating place. You know, nothing, as I've said many, many times, nothing in racing. I think it can be said for everybody. No one has ever experienced anything like what this place presents to you. And so when you do come here your first year, it is to say it's a unique experience would be an understatement.
There are 5 first-time drivers in this year's 500, and the race is on to see which one will be named Rookie of the Year. Hiro Matsushita is the only driver never to practice during the month of May, but his qualifying speed of 218.141 is certainly impressive.
This week, my crew made the car faster, and I became a little better.
Willie T. Ribb's story is good enough to publish. He's had dreams of making the race since 1985, and this season, he fought off major engine problems and a lack of sponsorship to put his car in the field.
We worked and worked and worked, and we had engine failure. The team never gave up, and that was tremendous. You know what I mean? They never gave up, and I wasn't going to give up.
Buddy Lazier and Jeff Andretti qualified for last year's race, and both were bumped on the final day of time trials. Both are back for 91, and the 4th Andretti in this field will start in 11th spot, higher than any other rookie.
You know, I knew what to expect coming in here this year, so I felt like a veteran coming in here. I can get right out there and get right to business and know what to expect.
This has to be a goal realized for you.
I would have to say that it's a step. It's definitely a step realized, and it feels really good, you know, because this place is tough.
The fastest rookie in this year's field is Mike Groff, driving car 50. He may be the most promising of the bunch. He, too, was bumped from last year's field, but every lap turned in 1990 went much further than 2.5 miles in experience for 91.
I'm at a big disadvantage not knowing this place like AJ does, or Mario, or Bettenhausen's. It's very tough, I know, and you learn something new every lap. You really do. And boy, I'll tell you, I mean, what I could do with another, couple thousand laps around here would be great,
Despite being a few years behind those great drivers, Groff is certainly building his niche.
I can't say I feel like I own the place, but I feel real comfortable here, and I think I belong here.
There's no doubt that the most important part in Sunday's race is the start, when the 33 cars streak down the main straightaway toward Dwayne Sweeney's green flag. It's especially important for the rookies in this race, and for advice on the start, who better to go to than last year's Rookie of the Year, Eddie Cheever.
The start of every race is something that all older drivers always tell the younger drivers, and inevitably even the older drivers don't pay attention to what they say, that you cannot win the race in the first corner. That's nothing to worry about, just pay attention. It's a very easy place to make a mistake. And mistakes around here, there's no credit. You pay cash immediately.
5 rookies will start this race, and Sunday afternoon we'll see how many are in contention when the checkered flag falls. This is Scott Hope for On the Way to Winning.
Thank you, Scotty. Folks, there's been so much mention made here in the past of maybe some kind of a design effort to try to slow these cars down. But Nigel Bennett, one of the premier designers in the IndyCar industry, has said that he'd like to see some changes made in the track, maybe to slow the cars down. And Kevin Madden returns right now with more on that.
Slowing the cars down at the Speedway has always been a constant subject of debate. Usually it is centered around new rules for the cars themselves. But now Nigel Bennett, designer for Penske Racing, believes the target for change should be the track itself.
I really think it's time, and a lot of drivers I know would agree that some effort was made by the Speedway to slow things down. And I don't mean by slowing the cars down, because that is very difficult to do safely. What has to be done is to reduce the radius of the turns, which can be done quite easily to slow the track down.
Physically altering the track. Now that's some maverick thinking, but Bennett believes it can and should be done. And this is how he'd do it.
I would like to see the radius of the turns altered by making sure that drivers could not run in the warm-up lane. I'd like to see it taken a little further so that the track was a little narrower at that point, so the radius of the turn was sharper. That would bring more driving skill into it, and it would hopefully keep speeds below 220 miles an hour.
Pole sitter Rick Mears offered a similar suggestion.
As far as, doing something with the track, the aprons that we run on, maybe a little more transition between the racetrack and the apron to where you can't run on the apron. Make a separate apron like I was talking about. If you do a separate apron on the inside where it's a totally different lane that you can't get on, then you can end the track at a certain point. And then the cars, it makes the radius of the corner a little bit tighter, which in turn would slow the cars down.
But like anything else, the more people you ask, the less likely it is you'll find agreement. Emerson Fittipaldi likes the track just the way it is.
The rules could be changed on the cars to improve safety for the future, but I don't think they should change the track in no way. In my opinion, this is a traditional place, traditional track, possible when my nephew is going to race here. Over after the year 2000, they'll be average 260, 270. And could be a quite safe car. Why not?
Bobby, you won here in '86, and coming into next year, what kind of distractions, what kind of problems, if any, did being the defending champion present to your preparations and attempt at executing a second straight win?
I don't think it, for me, I've always said the pressure was, was everybody asking, are you going to win this year? Having won it, to me, that sort of lifted a lot of the pressure. And if you win it twice in a row, then obviously there's a great deal of importance. It's a tremendous accomplishment. But probably the odds are against you. So when I was here in '87, I really didn't spend a lot of time thinking of that or what have you. I was here to win the race, and I'm here to do as best as we could. And if by doing so we did win that race, then obviously you would have done it 2 in a row, and people could talk about that. But the worst thing is, as the worst thing I thought was to look too far down the line.
I would think that if any guy is going to have a solid shot at repeating here, it's a guy like Arie Luyendyk, who's shown that he's very comfortable here. He won his first kart race ever here last year. He won the race leading up to this race, Phoenix. The guy, to me, is a tenacious front runner.
He's run strong this month.
Exactly. He's been very consistent. Would you say that Arie's got as good a shot as anybody?
Absolutely. I think he's got, if I look at one person as being one of the real players tomorrow, I'd say it's going to be Arie.
It could be tough, though, because they passed on a qualifying effort on the first day. He will start in the middle of row 5, so he's going to have to work his way up through the field, unlike last year. But anyway, Arie Luyendyk, defending champion. Can he do it again? Here's a report.
Lap 168 last year at Indianapolis. Arie Luyendyk maneuvers his Domino's Pizza Hot One past Bobby Rahal and into the history books. Suddenly, a driver with potential but no IndyCar wins to his name had created a new name for himself, Indy 500 champion.
It was just unbelievable. That's what I kept saying. It was unbelievable, and I can't help myself but thinking of last year's race a lot. You know, I'll be sitting watching TV, and then all of a sudden I think of this race because it really made a big impact on me.
Like so many other 500 champions before him, Arie has felt the effects of winning at Indianapolis.
I can see why AJ likes to come back every year, because the fans, they just, you know, you get so much more following, and it's a lot of fun. But on the other hand, there's a lot of pressure, because you know that you should do as good as last year and run as well during the whole month.
Thanks to a win out at Phoenix last month, the Flying Dutchman has brought a lot of momentum to Indianapolis. Ironically, it was Arie's first win since Indy last year.
I feel that the victory I had in Phoenix kind of backed up what I did in Indy last year, so it's taken the load off my shoulders and I don't have to answer so many more questions.
There is one question that remains for the defending champion. Can he win here again? Well, for purely selfish reasons, Arie Luyendyk certainly hopes so.
Winning is really what you want to do when you come here after you've won it, like last year, because I think if I would finish second, it's just not good enough. And I can see where last year Bobby Rahal was just, you know, he was just not happy enough with second, and I can see why.
For On the Way to Winning, I'm Kevin Madden.
Maybe the reason more people switch to Glidden than any other paint in the last 5 years is because the end result always looks so beautiful. So beautiful. Glidden, a better way to paint. Maybe the reason more people switch to Glidden than any other paint in the last 5 years is because it lasts year after year, no matter what the weather. Glidden, a better way.
At McQuick's, we do more than just change your oil and lubricate the chassis. McQuick's performs 14 vital services like checking and filling all fluids necessary to keep your car running its best. And we get it done in just 10 minutes. That's why when you give your car the best care with McQuick's and Quaker State Motor Oil, you'll actually hear the difference. Race noises not included.
The thirst for adventure is Michelob Dry. Refreshing beyond the ordinary. And once you've experienced the bold taste with no aftertaste, there is no going back.
Let us give thanks for the new furnace and our lower heating bills. It must be a sign. Must be a Lennox.
Get 0% financing for 12 months on selected Lennox heating and cooling products.
Life's too short. Like I've always told my group here, work hard, plan for the future, but have some fun along the way. At Broad Ripple Heating, we don't think heating and cooling projects need to be unpleasant. We want you to enjoy dealing with us. So next time, call Broad Ripple Heating.
And keep everybody happy. Must be a Lennox.
The drivers do and should get the lion's share of the credit when they win a race, but I really don't think people, especially people that don't follow racing, realize what an intricate team sport this has to be for you to achieve any kind of success.
Well, I've always said I think motor racing, which is perceived as such an individualistic sport, you know, my contention has always been that it's more of a team sport than sports that we look to as being team sports. In other words, when O.J. Simpson rushed for 2,000 yards, the Buffalo Bills didn't win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Or, you know, a guy like Michael Jordan, who's been the scoring leader. The Bulls have never made, you know, never won the NBA championship while he's been there. So you know, our success as a driver is so, I mean, you just can't have success as a driver and for the crew not to have success. So one's got to have as much as the other.
Another kind of athlete might have a great day even if his team doesn't, but you can't have a great day if your team doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No question.
Rick Gallis, what kind of guy is he to work for?
Rick's a great guy. He's a jock. He's a frustrated jock, I think, but, you know, he is very much of he's a great motivator. You know, he's very, I think, generous with people. I think he can bring the most out of people. He's very much, he really does believe in giving people their due and letting them, if they're appointed to a job, he gives them the opportunity to take it and run with it. Very much like Jim Truman was, I thought. So.
Perfect lead-in to this package on Rick Gallis and his concept of team IndyCar racing from Scott Hope.
Although the driver is the focal point on the racetrack, IndyCar racing is as much a team sport as any other, if not more so. Rick Gallis of the Gallis-Craco team has gone so far as to put numbers on the team's uniforms.
The main thing, we were having a big party over at Super Bowl Sunday at my house, and we decided that that we put numbers on everybody this year because it gave recognition to the team, and that way we could have inserts in the programs and things, and so that when somebody saw somebody on TV, they could look it up and they could tell a little bit about, you know, who that real person was, and talk more about the team rather than just, you know, or make human beings out of these guys rather than just people that people don't know about. So it's worked out real well. We've had a lot of fun with it. And the whole key is that these guys on the team get the recognition they deserve, because these are the guys that do all the work and really bust their tails to make the team successful.
This is Scott Hoke for On the Way to Winning.
So there's a look at the importance of teamwork and the overall success of any IndyCar operation. Right now, Kevin Madden's here and wants to focus in on the technological side of the sport. For so many years, drivers basically had to report back to the crew and really use their own instincts, the way they felt about the car, the way the car felt to them, and dial in the car according to what the guy said was wrong with it, what the driver said was wrong with it. Now, they've got these onboard computers that answer a lot of those questions and help them dial in these cars. Here's Kevin with more on the onboard computers.
Going fast at the speedway these days takes more than a good engine and a lead foot. It also takes a computer. Dave Cripps, engineer for Dick Simon Racing, explains how computer science is helping race cars go faster.
Approximately 80 feet less on the track length is maybe another mile per hour. So you could gain 2 miles an hour by cutting 160 feet from the track. Bearing in mind that the Speedway has worked out their track length to be 2.5 miles, which is 13,200 feet, which is 3 feet above the skirt length. So if you actually found a good line, which we were able to reduce that, then therefore that would make your average speed faster compared to their timing system.
In other words, a shorter way around means a faster way around. But that's just part of the equation.
On this lap, we took turn 4 at 213.9 miles an hour. And obviously, as you carry on, more laps you make, you can start to collate all your information. And you can say, well, hey, you know, I mean, when we actually ran this, we were much faster through turn 3 and 4. You have to find that exact point where you can get the correct handling, just the right amount of downforce, but not too much drag, so you can get through the corners at the correct speed, but you can also reach a good terminal speed on the straights.
There was a time when race teams relied solely on its driver for information, when he got on the gas and where he got off of it. Nowadays, teams are relying more and more on the computer. You might say it has become the new racer's edge.
So it really is down now to the actual fine setup, the fine tuning, the finding the optimum setup, aerodynamics, etc. So this is really where all this comes in, because you can't really afford to speculate anymore. You have to know.
Well, Bobby, the time has come to focus in on the guy who's really galvanized the entire sport again this month. What can you say about A.J. Foyt and his performance on pole day?
Well, I still, when you think of how many laps, and he does this every year, he only goes out, I bet you if he did 60 practice laps, that's a lot. And then he goes out and runs 223, I guess, phenomenal. And, I don't think there could have been a more, the only thing that would have been better, I think in everybody's view would have been if he'd gotten pole. What a way to end it all. But, knowing AJ, where he is just, that's all fine and good, and he's worried about the race more than he was about qualifying.
Conversation right now, and this should be something special, between two legends of the Brickyard, four-time winner A.J. Foyt and the longtime voice of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Tom Carnegie.
Qualifications. That seemed to be destiny, that you should be in the front row.
Well, I think this is the 8th time I've been in the front row, and I've never won it from the front row, and so maybe it can happen this year.
Let's hope so. AJ, congratulations. It's fun to see you in the lineup. And is 35 really better than 34?
Well, it sounds better, but it looks like 34 is going to be it.
Bobby, I'd like to take a second here and as just kind of a consumer service, put on my Ralph Nader cap and kind of do a comparison between the Indy car and the engine and all the stuff that you guys need to do your job and like the car that a regular guy like me might own. You up for this?
Yeah, I'm fine. Let's do it.
Okay, take a look at this, folks. I think you'll find this to be fairly interesting in an astronomical kind of way financially. First of all, say you've got your Chevy Indy V8, which you do, and say I've got a 91 Chevy Caprice with a 5-liter V8 parked in my garage, okay? How would the price differential work out? What would the price be for your car?
Well, for our engines, they're leased. We don't buy them. They're leased. It costs $100,000 per engine.
Per engine?
Per engine. And, of course, a team like ours, I think you're looking at probably somewhere around 10 engines per driver for the year.
Well, see, mine lists, like, I could probably drive it off the lot for $16K, and I get the rest of the car.
Well, that makes
well, you get any kind of warranty on your vehicle?
Yeah, we get about a warranty the minute you open the crate. No, but we do.
One of those crowbar warranties.
That's right. In fact, the minute you write the check, the warranty is void. Our engines are good for about 500 to 600 miles before they have to be rebuilt.
So we won't be going to Kings Island in your car.
No, not there and back. And that's not to say that they won't go further, but the odds of having catastrophic engine failure go up the more mileage that you put on them. So it's considered to be just a preventative maintenance program after 500 or 600 miles, and that costs about $18,000 an engine. And of course, the engine has an ultimate lifespan, presuming it hasn't been blown up or abused in any way, of probably about 2,500 miles.
No, I'm already getting nauseous here. But see, on my car, I get 3 years of 36,000 miles, $100 deductible after 12,000 miles or 12 months, whichever comes first. Now, engine size. I think I got you beat there.
You do, but in only so many ways. We'll get to that later. But our engines are 161.5 cubic inches, which comes out to 2.65 liters.
What does cylinder displacement mean? It means you lost it?
No, that means how much volume is displaced when the piston is at its lowest point of travel to its highest point of travel.
Let's just move on. I'm not even intellectually capable of being involved in this conversation. All I know is the engine on my Chevy Caprice is 305 cubic inches, and it's hot. Right. Now, fuel, you got this...
We're environmentally friendly on fuel. You are. We have methanol.
Methanol, and I've got the 87 octane gasoline. Now, mileage, this is something...
No one should ever complain about bad mileage.
That's right.
No. We are required to get 1.8 miles per gallon by the rules, because we're only given enough fuel in our fuel tanks and in the car to start the race to carry us through 500 miles. So if we don't achieve 1.8 miles per gallon, if we achieve less than that, then we will run out of fuel.
Now that's under green light conditions, right? When you're running yellow, you might pump it up to 3 amperes.
Yellow distorts it. Yellow period will probably give you around 4 miles per gallon.
No kidding. Wow. Just drive all day. My car, I get 17 to 26 miles per gallon by the Environmental Protection Agency's estimate.
Yeah, but I'll bet you don't get 720 horsepower.
No. What kind of RPM? What does that do to the tank?
We will probably rev these engines about 12,000 RPMs during the race.
Well, I'll get 170 horsepower and revolutions per minute of 4,200. Pretty impressive. Now, 0 to 60, you know, the guys in high school are always sitting out in the parking lot talking about how fast you can go 0 to 60. I never owned a car in high school, so I didn't get in those discussions. But how fast can you go to 0 to 60?
Well, you'd have a problem turning the stopwatch on and turning it off. We do it in about 2 seconds, and I'd say that's even being a little conservative.
2 seconds. Well, it takes me 10.5 seconds flooring my car driving down a severe incline. Track record. What about track records?
Well, of course, the Chevy's won the last 3 Indy 500s and has won the last 46 of 49 IndyCar races. I might add that I won 2 of those that they didn't win. So I'm going to be a Trivial Pursuit question one of these days, if not already.
Well, the big thing, I guess, about records for cars like mine is it's said to be the #1 choice of New York cab drivers. And finally, are there any disadvantages to either one of our vehicles?
Well, the disadvantage that you've got is I wouldn't say you stand a chance of winning the Indy 500.
Okay, but by the same token, your car can't be started without a portable electric starter and a pit crew, and it also overheats rapidly at speeds below 90 miles per hour. So, I don't know. I'm never going to win Indy, but you're not going to be able to go to Kings Island with the kids and come back. So.
There's a strategy in all that, I think.
Rediscover American value at the National Dodge Sell-A-Thon. Like this 91 Dodge Shadow. It's already the lowest priced car in the world with an airbag. And now with $500 cash back for first-time car buyers, Shadow starts at just $71.99. Add factory to dealer incentives and you could save even more. But hurry, this deal can't last forever.
Stop by and see the advantages your Indiana Dodge dealer has to offer.
Traffic's been crazy around here. Something about chicken.
It's great.
Crispy, juicy, delicious.
Hardee's Fried Chicken. He's preferred 63 to 37 over Kentucky Fried Chicken original recipe.
Sorry about that. It's the truth. I don't like Kentucky. I don't ever buy Kentucky.
Hardee's Chicken is ripping.
It's the best chicken I have ever eaten.
This is the place to stop, Hardee's. Now get 8 pieces of chicken, 4 made from scratch biscuits, coleslaw, and mashed potatoes with gravy for just $6.99.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
They come to me to get a prescription filled, but that's only a small part of my job. They have questions about what they're getting, or maybe something else that's worrying them. That's really what I'm here for, the human touch, I guess. I think when you care, people can tell. It makes them feel better to know somebody's there for them. I got into this profession because I wanted to help people.
You can count on people who care.
The RCA 8mm camcorder is so small and light, you'll take it everywhere. That way you won't miss a thing. It also gives you great color in almost any light.
Come on, give me the slippers.
Like we say, you won't miss a darn thing. And when you go from one subject to the next, it focuses instantly. The RCA 8mm camcorder. Another way we're changing entertainment again.
Time now to set the field for the 75th running of the Indianapolis 500, and the A.J. Foyt you just saw there, he's not going to be that mellow, I don't think, come race day. He's going to be the middle of one. But first of all, we want to show you a little bit of the qualifying run of each of the guys in the first 5 rows, starting with pole sitter Rick Mears. And Bobby, again, I'm just astonished at this feat. 6 poles at Indianapolis. I guess that's 3 more than anyone else has ever won.
Really, I didn't know, but I mean, obviously, it's a tremendous amount, and done in very difficult conditions on a difficult day.
Qualifying average 224.113. Of course, he's got the 91 Penske with the Chevy Power. And again, in the middle of row 1, A.J. Foyt Jr. in his Gilmore Copenhagen Racing number 14 car, 91 Lola with Chevy Power. His qualifying speed 222.4. And then on the outside of 1, a guy who's almost becoming kind of a comic, tragic figure here, Mario Andretti. He's won it only once. He's had so much bad luck, but this guy, you know, even at his age, he's still a good enough driver to put it on the front row, and always has got to be a threat to win.
Well, as I've said to many people, I think the thing that I admire most about Mario And there are many things. It's his fire. The fire in his gut after all these years of racing, that there is no one out there that is any more intense than he is and is any hungrier to win than he is.
His qualifying average, 221.8. And then row 2, Bobby Rahal. And I tell you something, you've been Mr. Consistency again this month. You got to feel good.
Yeah, I do. The car has been, it has been consistent. We may not have been ultimately the quickest on any particular day, but it's right there. And Thursday in carburation day practice, I mean, I don't think I've ever had or felt as good about a car going into the race day than I felt this year.
No kidding. Beside you, row 2, Michael Andretti. And he's again in a 91 Lola with Chevy power. His qualifying speed 220.9, and lots of rumors going around about this possibly being Michael's last 500 for a couple of years. He's very interested, intrigued by going to Europe and racing Formula One. Do you think we'll see that happen?
I would almost bet on it. One, because he very much wants to do it. Two, Mario, who has a very good reputation in Europe and has a lot of contacts, is really working hard to help Michael get the right situations. And you know, you have that going for you. That can really, and aside from the fact that obviously he's competitive and capable, and so I'd almost bet you that he's going to be on his way.
Outside of row 2, your teammate, Gallus Craco Racing, Alan Jr. And I'll tell you something, he has not posted the spectacular speeds that he did a year ago this month, and I know he's had some problems with blown engines, and just about everybody has, but I've just got a feeling about him. You know, after what he did, the way he dominated the circuit last year, he's got a nose for victory lane. This place has just been so special to his family. His family's been so special to this place.
Right. Well, he didn't have a very good Thursday, unfortunately, but you know, I think that if anybody knows how to race, it's Al. You know, he's never been that great qualifier. He's always been, I think, a better racer than qualifier. So, you know, give him some good luck. I don't think there's any question he'll be running up front. Whether he can, you know, whether he can maintain it for 500 miles or not, only time will tell.
Row 3, pick up the pace here a little bit in the Pennzoil Special. It is not Rick Mears, folks, even though it looks like his car. It's John Andretti in car number 4, 91 Lola with Chevy power. He's already won one race this year, the kart season opener down under in Australia. He posted a qualifying average of 219, and then we've got the Jim Crawford in the number 26 car, the Quaker State Buick in the middle of row 3. And on the outside of 3, another intriguing story throughout the month. And the 85 winner here, Danny Sullivan, racing with the Alpha team, and he qualified at 218.3. What do you think of Danny's chances of winning? Do you think he's one of those guys that you were talking about earlier, the 5 or 10 that you think could win?
Well, I think there's one big question there in that whole equation, in my estimation. That's the engine and the reliability. I don't think that it has the power that the Chevys have, or even the Buicks, maybe not even the Cosworths at this stage. It's hard to tell. But reliability has been a problem. But then, you know, in its favor, reliability has been a problem for a lot of engines this May.
Sure.
Not just Chevys, the Buicks. There have been a lot of Buicks that have been blown up. So who knows? I mean, you know, as I said, you'd be afraid. I'd be afraid to make a projection on who might win, because so much can happen.
Row 4, quick assessment of each of these 3 guys. Eddie Cheever.
Matured a lot this year from a year ago. I don't know if he's yet comfortable on ovals, at least this one. Very good little team, though. Very good team.
Middle of row 4, Jeff Andretti. Does he have, I know he's in the field, but does he have the talent, the inherent abilities that the people in his family seem to possess?
Well, I think it's a little unfair on Jeff to, you know.
Too early to tell.
Yeah, I mean, he really hasn't had that much experience, certainly not in Indy cars by any means, but even in other categories of racing, he's really not done that much. But he's, I think, a level-headed young man, and I think that, you know, that if he's got anything in his favor, among other things, but the biggest thing would be his father's counsel, his brother's advice, and I think he's been around long enough to know where he should be and where he shouldn't be.
Scott Goodyear, he's got a great name for racing, I'll tell you that. He's in the car number 15. That's the Uno Racing McKenzie Financial car. It's a 91 Lola with Judd Power. Haven't heard too much about the Judd engines this year.
Now, once again, and I believe Scott is the fastest Judd. I'm not 100% sure, but the Judds, again, you know, Scott has done very well in a number of events this year. Last year he did a very good job in Vancouver. But I think if he's got something, if the equation's a little weak, it's in the engine compartment.
Row 5 has got to be one of the most spectacular trios ever here for a row 5. To start on the inside with Gary Bettenhausen, car number 51. Well, we've already talked about him, so let's move on. We've already talked about Ari Lyondike. He's in the middle of 5. Car number 1, trying to win it for the 2nd straight year. His qualifying average, 223.8. And the guy, I guess, that we haven't even touched on yet in this show, who's kind of been lurking on the periphery again in people's minds, but I do believe he had more fast practice laps in terms of number of days than any of the other drivers. And the guy who won here 2 years ago, Emerson Fittipaldi, on the outside of 5.
And I think maybe, I don't know, maybe Al Jr. or Emerson, I think, are the guys who did the most laps around here this May. I mean, Emerson has not left any stone unturned from what I can see. He has run quickly. Obviously a disappointment, I would think, for him not to have been given the chance to qualify. Although the speed, you know, who knows on that day whether anybody would have beaten Rick in those conditions. But been kind of quiet. Even though he's been quickly, you know, I don't think the media attention has been as great. And that to me is a fellow that I will consider to be consistently a threat throughout this race.
All right, so there's the top 5, and now let's take you through rows 6 through 11. And row 6 on the inside, Kevin Cogan. In the middle, Stan Fox in car number 91. And the fastest rookie qualifier at a speed of 2:19, Mike Groff on the outside of 6. He's in car number 50. Row 7, Scott Brayton on the inside in car number 22. Then Tony B, car number 16 in the middle. And Bernard Jourdain, car number 48 on the outside of 7. Row 8, Jeff Brabham in car number 21. And he's sitting there with a couple of rookies, Buddy Lazier in car number 71. And Hiro Matsushita, or whatever you want to call it, in car number 7 on the outside of row 8, the first Japanese driver to qualify here. Row 9 on the inside, car number 93, John Paul Jr. In the middle, car number 23, Tero Palmroth. And on the outside, Scott Pruitt in car number 19. Moving on to row 10, Roberto Guerrero, who finally got a ride just a couple of days before the second weekend of qualifying and stuck car number 40 in the field. He's alpha-powered as well. In the middle, the first black to qualify, Willie T. Ribbs, another rookie in car number 17. On the outside of 10, Dominic Dobson in car number 66. And finally, row number 11, Randy Lewis in car number 39 sits on the inside, and a couple of Speedway veterans, Pancho Carter in the middle, car number 12, and on the outside of 11, two-time champion here in car number 92, Gordon Johncock. We are now about 12 hours before the start of the Indianapolis 500, and one place that a lot of people are, but one place there's no way you'd ever find me at this particular hour, is out on 16th Street or Georgetown Road right outside the Speedway. I mean, this place is starting to fill up, and everybody out there is crazy. Kevin Madden's one of them. Let's go to Kevin live on the corner of 16th and Georgetown Road. Kevin, I hope you're okay.
Ed, I'm fine. Thanks very much to you and Bobby. This is the third year that we've been on top of the Speedway monogramming store here, right across from the main entrance, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Now, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade here, but I got to tell you, I got to be honest with you, it seems really low-key this year. We have made the tour with photographer Vern Ville. We walked up and down 16th Street saying hi to all of our friends, and a lot of folks knew you, Ed, I got to tell you, by your first name, and they wanted to know how you were doing. But in actuality, things have been really mellow here. I'm not sure if it's because of the weather conditions, it's been on and off rain, or what, but it's been fairly mellow. I want to introduce the guy that lets us come up here every year. Jim, this is the third year that we've been on top of your building, and this is the third year that I'm going to try and get your last name right. Lubert? Lubert.
You did real well, Kevin. Madigan?
Yeah, Madigan. I feel like a Madigan tonight. You've been out here a lot of years.
Yep.
This year, as the rain is coming down on us, seems a little mellow.
It's real mellow, Kevin. I don't know whether it is the rain or the temperature, but it's mellow, but it's a nice crowd. They're spending money. I like that.
Now, you've got a lot of merchandise for sale downstairs. What's been the hot seller so far?
Anything with a 75th Indy logo has been really, really going well. We're sold out of an awful lot of it, so the folks can get it inside the track tomorrow.
All right, Jim, that's the store here. Let's go back to Ed.
Okay, Kev, thanks a lot, man. I hope you make it back in one piece. We need you in that pit reporting capacity tomorrow. There are more colorful people than the one that you just saw screaming and yelling down below Kevin. I mean, this whole place is just jam-packed with crazies, zanies, every kind of colorful person you could imagine during the month of May. And our photographer, Steve Denny, has put together a little piece to further show you some of the color of the Speedway during the month of May.
Scorecard, paper. Get your fresh hot paper. Paper. Come on, people, get your paper.
And we have a green light.
Yeah.
And he's on it.
That's what he's gonna do.
And that is the top speed of this day.
Better give him another six-pack. Makes it fun. What makes it fun? Because I got all my friends here, and we got the chicken going, and there's a cooler in the car, and everything's right.
Enjoy the speed, the feel, the sound, the way everything works.
Just a great time to come out here. There's beer, there's people, there's food, there's guys to check out, there's people to watch, cars, drivers. Oh, you want to check out some girls, maybe?
The women are absolutely beautiful. They're fun, but you can't touch them.
Well, that piece put together is mentioned by our photographer, Steve Denny, who has another one for us right now. This has nothing to do with crazy people, unless you consider guys crazy that drive 220 miles an hour around this track. There have been a lot of highlights, as usual, during the month of May. Let's take a retrospective look at the events of the last 4 weeks right now.
Winning always makes you feel really good, but to win this race makes you feel a little bit more special.
And we have a green light.
It's a very easy place to make a mistake. And mistakes around here, there's no credit. You pay cash immediately.
The 75th running, and the green flag is held high, and
We beat Rick! We beat Rick! Hey, how's that for a Mother's Day present? Oh, boy. One more. Oh, my God. We're going to the dance, boys. We're going to the dance.
a month of frustration has ended successfully for Willie T. Rick.
Okay, so that's a look back at the month of May and all the things that have happened this month. Joining us now, Tom Carnegie, the longtime voice of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, along with Bobby. And Tom, looking forward to the 75th running of this great race tomorrow. What do you think? How do you handicap this race?
I've never seen such a competitive field. You used to be able to look for the winner on the fingers of one hand. Now you got to use both of them. And then there's some long shots in there.
Some great stories going into this race. You got AJ, you got Willie T. Ribbs, but to me, I think my favorite story of the whole month is Gary Bettenhouse.
Well, that's been one of my favorite families for a long, long time, because I knew the dad, Tony, and then Gary with an up and down career. So you got to root for the Bettenhausen. Sure you do.
Don't you think it would be maybe the greatest story, one of the greatest stories in the history of this place, if Gary could win this race?
Oh, it sure would.
You know, every year prior to the race, they take a poll of all the motorsports writers who are in town to cover this race, and this year, your teammate, Al Jr., was a runaway winner in their poll when they picked the favorite. He got as many votes by himself as the rest of the guys combined.
Really? I don't think anybody's a favorite. I think that there are good 10 or 15 cars that have a realistic, not a chance, but a realistic chance of winning this race.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
All the best. Enjoyed being with you again this month. Tom, always a pleasure to see you, sir. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Way to Winning. Don't forget, our race wrap-up report tomorrow night, live here from the Speedway at 8 o'clock. It's been a great month. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage. Thanks for joining us tonight, and good night, everybody.
On the Way to Winning was brought to you by Hardee's, by 99.5 FM WZPL, by Indiana Dodge Dealers, by RCA, changing entertainment again, by Michelob Drive, and by Osco Drugstores.